السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد إن أصدق حديث كتاب الله عز وجل وأحسن حديث محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر أمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة في الإسلام بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. All praise is due to Allah. We praise Him and we extol Him and made after salatu salam be ala Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. As what follows, my dear brother, Salam and Iman. Today, bi'idhnillah, will be the first in a series of talks regarding the Islamic etiquettes and manners. Bi'idhnillah, walillahi tawfiq. And we're not here to point fingers at anybody or to try and blame anyone, because at the end of the day, if we have bad akhlaq or adab or manners, then it will affect all of us. So today, inshallah, I want to start our series speaking about the importance of gentleness, rifq in Islam. And this is a very, very important characteristic of a Muslim. So much so that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said it is also one of the attributes of Allah Azza wa Jal. Allah Azza wa Jal, He has asma wa sifat. He has names and He has attributes. So for us to get better acquainted with our Rabb is by learning and understanding the names and attributes of Allah Ta'ala. So one of the attributes of Allah is Ar-Rafiq, as is common in the hadith, authentic hadith, and the thought of Aisha, brother anha, who said that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "In Allah Rafiq hibur rifq fi amur kulluhu." Kama qala sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that Allah is gentle and He likes gentleness and ease in all of our affairs. So, now we started with this topic of gentleness. I want us to always keep in mind, as the Ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that we have a very, very great responsibility on our shoulders. And one of those responsibilities is that we have the responsibility of correcting the mistakes of others. It's a very, very important thing that we have to keep embedded in our hearts. That as the Ummah of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, by professing and saying that we are of the Ummah of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the Ummah of Ijaba, the nation of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, we have a very great responsibility to show that Islam is the best way of life. But before we can do that, before we can put ourselves forward to correct others' mistakes, we have to be in the process or in the habit of trying to win over their hearts to the truth. Allah says, أَتَعْمُرُونَ النَّاسَ بِالْبِرِّ وَتَنْسُونَ أَنفُسَكُمْ أَنْتُمْ تَأْلُونَ الْكِتَابَ أَفَلَا تَعْقِلُونَ إلى آخر ayah. Allah says, do you order people to what is right and what is correct, and you forget about your own selves, and you read the book? Do you not have any sense? And this is speaking about the nations that came before us, meaning the Yahud and Nasara. But what about us now as Ummah of Ijaba, that we responded to the call of the Messenger of Allah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam? We have to know that as Ummah of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, we are a gently balanced nation. Allah had reminded us of this in many places, that we should follow the example of the Messenger of Allah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam in qawl wal amal, in speech and action. For example, the Messenger of Allah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he had given this as our core message of Islam, where he says, "Alaykum birifq, fina rizq la yakuna fi shay illa zanu, wa la yanza'u min shay illa sha'anu." Or kama qala Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He said, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, that I give you the glad tidings that we should be gentle. We should be an easygoing nation. For verily, gentleness, rifq, is not found in something except it beautifies it. And rifq is not removed from a thing except that he makes it disfigured and ugly. So as representatives of the Ummah of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, we need to be in the process of winning over the people's hearts before we can call them to the truth. We know that Allah Azza wa Jal is Al-Haq, Al-Haq al-Mubin. He is the truth. He is the clear truth. But sometimes our attitudes would prevent people from seeing that clear truth. We have to understand that. And we have to understand that it is extremely important that we let our attitudes, our actions speak before our words. And there's a very, very important hadith that I want us to understand and keep in our hearts, which is muttafaqan alayh, which is collected in the Sahih of Imam Bukhari and Muslim, on the authority of Abu Burda radhiyallahu anhu, reported that the Messenger of Allah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam sent him and Mu'adh ibn Jabal to Yemen. And he advised them before they put their foot into their bootstrap. He said to the two of them, he said, "Yassira wa la tu'assira, wa bashira wa la tunaffira, wa tutawa'a wa la taqtalifa." He said, make things easy for the people, and don't make things difficult for the people. And do not drive people away. Do not drive people away from your message, and to tawa'a, and cooperate with one another, and la taqtalifa, and do not disagree. Do not be contentious amongst yourselves, or do not be argumentative amongst yourselves. So tolerance, my dear Salam Iman, and gentleness is a characteristic that Allah Ta'ala, He loves to see in His ibad, that which He cannot find or will not be present when there is harshness. When that thing comes into something or situation, it removes the beauty of that situation. There's also a very, very important ayat that we have to understand as the Ummah of Ijaba, that we must follow the example of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What Allah Ta'ala says in many places, but specifically in Ahzab, where He said, وَلَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولُ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ لِمَنْ كَانَ يَرْجُو اللَّهَ وَالْيَوْمَ الْآخِرَ وَذَكَرَ اللَّهَ كَثِيرًا إلى آخر ayah. Verily, in the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we have an excellent mode of example to follow for those who hope in Allah in the last day and remember Allah much. So we should not put our customs and our traditions over or in front of the Sunnah of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But this ayah, out of one of many ayats, is telling us that we have an excellent example in the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Whenever we're in a situation, we have to think and reflect. How would Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam handle this situation? What would he do in such a situation? How would he speak in such a situation? We should not think about how should I act as a person from this country or that country. I'm from this country and this is how we're supposed to act. He's supposed to respect us. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. We have to remember that as believers, that we're only human. We have to always keep in mind that while we're striving on the path of being a good practicing Muslim, following the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, first and foremost, is that we're going to make mistakes. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to say things inappropriate sometimes. We're going to do things inappropriate sometimes. But we have to keep in mind that we are only human. And we have to remember that Allah Azza wa Jal, He had tell us that وَالَّذِينَ إِذَا فَعَلُوا فَحِشَةٌ أَوْ ظَلَمُوا أَنفُسُهُمْ ذَكَرَ اللَّهِ فَاسْتَغْفِرُوا لَهُمْ بِهِمْ. That those of us who wrong ourselves or oppress ourselves or we make a mistake, ذَكَرَ اللَّهِ, we remember Allah, and then we make istighfar, we ask Allah for forgiveness for our sins, our mistakes. And the noble Sahabi, Anas ibn Malik, anhu, he said, when this ayat was revealed, it was narrated to him that the shaitan screamed. Why? Because of the ayat which came after it. وَمَنْ يَغْفِرَ ذَنُوبِ إِلَّا اللَّهِ. That no one forgives sins except Allah Tabarak Ta'ala. So we have to always keep that in our hearts while we're correcting others or we're being corrected, that we're not perfect and that we're only human and Allah knows best why we are making that mistake or the other person's making a mistake, or Allah Ta'ala put me in the position to try and correct that person's mistake. And while we're in that process, we shouldn't be so proud of ourselves that if we made a mistake or we offended somebody by our words or our actions, that we're so proud that we cannot apologize to that person. Because this is the reason why Shaitan, he became a rajim, the accursed, the outcast, because he was so proud of himself. He was so proud of his creation. We should not be so proud of who we are or where we come from or our tribe or our lineage that we don't care about the repercussions of our actions. Over the years, myself, I've been in many sit-downs in between brothers where they had conflict and they had issues, they had differences. And one of the same themes that I've heard over the years, and this I'm speaking about good brothers, good practicing brothers of the Sunnah, they would say, I don't care. I spoke the truth. What I said was the haqq. If he doesn't like it, that's his problem. Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakil. This, my dear Salam Iman, is a serious problem that I'm talking about the brothers who are practicing. We have. They said, I don't care about what the brother feels or what he thinks because what I told him was the haqq. It was the truth. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. We have to understand very simply that Allah is Rafiq, Hibbul Rifq. Allah is gentle and He loves gentleness. And this old saying that we have to remember, it's not what we say, but how we say it. We can speak the truth, but Allah is the haqq. We have to remember that. The truth that we speak is Allah's truth. The truth that we speak is not necessarily our truth. The truth that we speak, we're trying to guide people to that truth. We're not trying to guide people to our truth. The truth and the haqq is from Allah. Al-haqq min Rabbi. The haqq, the truth is from Allah. So remember that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, authentic hadith, كل بني آدم خطاعون وخير خطاعين التوابين. That all of the sons and daughters of Adam make mistakes. And the best of us that makes mistakes are those who return in repentance, tawwab, to Allah. So the point that I want us to understand and grasp is that as an ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we have to know that we're all brothers. Innama al-mu'minuna ikhwa. Allah Azza wa Jalla says that we are nothing else other than brothers. Innama adat al-hasr. Allah is pointing to the fact that we are all brothers. So the person who is correcting and the one who is corrected, they're no better than the other. One hand washes the other. We need each other. So for one person to become puffed up and arrogant because they know the truth or they have a better understanding, it does not give us the right to point at a person in an inappropriate manner or to speak down to a person. Allah Azza wa Jal will always be there to help us as long as we're always there to help our Muslim brother. We have to understand this qaida, this principle in Islam of gentleness and being easy. And the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Inna Allah fil awn al-abd, ma dam al-abd fi awn al-aqiq." That Allah Azza wa Jal will always be there to help out the slave. So long as we're always there, we always want to be helpful towards one another. And there's a very, very important hadith, an authority of Ibn Abbas, anhuma, qila Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that somebody asked Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, ayy adyan ahabba ilallah, which understanding, which religion is the most pleasing to Allah? Qala al-hanifa samha, that the Hanif, the easy going Hanif, forgiving, tolerant deen is the most beloved to Allah. This is the deen of Ibrahimiyya, Hanif, that Ibrahim, the deen of Ibrahim alayhi salam, was tolerant and easygoing. He wasn't a touchy person. He was very tolerant and easygoing, and he had a forgivingness about himself, Ibrahim alayhi salam. So we have to understand as the Ummah of Ijaba that we have a very, very strong responsibility on ourselves to represent the deen properly. We cannot say that about our fellow Muslim brethren, that these people are given a bad name to Islam because they represent the Ummah of Muhammad. Just like we represent the Ummah. We are all in it together. So if one part of the body is ailing, then the whole whole body will suffer sleeplessness. So if one part is not acting in an appropriate manner, then it's upon us to pull it up and to correct and rectify that. And we have to remember that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, "Man yahrim rifq yahrim khair." Who's ever been deprived of gentleness and ease has been deprived of all goodness. May Allah Azza wa Jal help all of us and make us a nation that is kinder and gentler and easy amongst ourselves. Ameen, ameen, ameen. Bismillah, salatu salam, ala Rasulullah, wa ala alihi, wa sahbihi, wa man tabi'ahu huda, wa ba'd. As we mentioned at the beginning of our khutbah, for those who have come late, that as the Ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we have a great responsibility on our shoulders. We have a responsibility that no other nation has. And one of those responsibilities is that we have to correct people's mistakes. It's not easy. And nobody likes to do it. Nobody likes to correct anyone's mistakes. Because it's as if we're saying that we are perfect or we are better than the person we're correcting. No. We have to understand that it's an opportunity. If Allah Azza wa Jalla gives us an opportunity to correct somebody's mistake, and we are not up to the task, we should be humble. We should humble ourselves enough to give that task to somebody who's more fit for that responsibility. So the first step, for those of us who came late to the khutbah, the first step in the rectification process of our community is that we have to be in the habit of winning people over, winning over the hearts to the truth, and not drive people away from the truth. This is very important, that we're in the process of trying to win over the hearts. We cannot have an I don't care attitude or that's on them attitude. If they are part of the Ummah of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, then we have to care about them. And we have to try our best to win their heart over to the truth. And this was the advice of the Messenger of Allah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, where he said, عليك بالرفق فإن الرفق لا يكون في شيء إلا زانه ولا ينزعه من شيء إلا شأنه. وكما قال صلى الله عليه وسلم, he said that you must be gentle, because whenever gentleness or rifq is put into something, it beautifies it, and whatever it is removed from a thing, it makes it ugly. It makes it ugly. And we have to understand that there are many, many examples in the Quran and the Sunnah of how the Prophet ﷺ dealt with people. We know the example of the man who came into the masjid, the Bedouin, Arabi, and he urinated in the corner of the mosque. The Sahaba, they were shocked. And we know about this story. But the Prophet ﷺ said, let him finish. Let him finish. And he said, just put a bucket of water, kullatain, a bucket of water over it. Innal hasanat yudhibna sayyat. Verily the good will remove the evil. Dhalika dhikra lidhakirin. That is remindful for those who are mindful. Then the Messenger of Allah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam took the man aside and he taught him. He explained to him what is the way to act in the masjid. The noble Sheikh Muhammad Nasir al-Albani will leave us with this. Rahimahullah. He established a very important principle way back in the early days of the da'wah, when he was trying to renew or rejuvenate the ummah with his da'wah, called it tasfiyah wa tarbiyah, which is to purify the person from the bid'ah, from the shirk, from the khurafat, and all of those things, and then to nurture them and teach them the correct deen. It is true that we need to purify the ummah from the shirk, from the khurafat, from the bid'ah, from the weak narrations, but we have to understand that it's not what we say, but it's how we say it. A person can be doing so many wrong things, and we tell them and we explain to them, but we're explaining to them in a harsh manner. We all know the story of Musa and Harun. The Quran is full, majority of the Quran is full with the trials and tribulations of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam and Musa and Harun. And how was Musa and Harun? They were sent to the person who was the most arrogant and insolent person on the face of the planet Earth ever. And Allah Azza wa Jal, He told them, He said, اذهب إلى فرعون إنه طغى قل له قولا لينا لعله يتذكر أو يخشى. He said, Allah Azza wa Jal ordered Musa and his brother Harun to go to Fir'aun, a person who Musa went to, and he asked, set the children of Israel free. You are keeping them in slavery and bondage, generation after generation after generation as slaves. Fir'aun was so arrogant, he said, don't you see the rivers of mist underneath my feet? Who is your Lord? Ana Rabbukum al-Ala. Who is your God? I am your God. I am your Lord the Most High. Allah Azza wa Jal, He sent Musa and his brother Harun to go to this arrogant person, the most arrogant person who ever walked on the planet Earth, to claim to be your Lord the Most High. He said, I have all of these people under my servitude. The rivers of mist run underneath my feet. He said, Ana Rabbukum al-A'la. I am your Lord the Most High. Allah said, go to him and speak to him with a mild tone. Go to him and speak to him in a nice way, that perhaps he will have some kind of remembrance, or he will have some fear of the reminder. So my dear Salam Iman, we have to understand that this ayah, and there are many ayahs and there are many examples of the Messenger of Allah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam that teach us to not be arrogant, that explain to us and teach us that nobody on the planet Earth, nobody deserves to be treated harshly or to be spoken with a harsh tone. Nobody deserves that type of treatment. We have to understand that there wasn't anyone on the planet Earth more arrogant and insolent than Fir'aun. But Allah Azza wa Jal ordered Musa and Harun to go to him and speak to him in a polite, kind manner, that perhaps he would accept the remembrance and he would accept the message and he would change his ways. He told him that, and he did it. And he did it. So we as Ummah of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, we have a responsibility to speak with gentleness. And we have to understand that our words will carry with it a positive or negative result. There will be repercussions with everything that we say. And we have to understand that no one deserves to be spoken to in a harsh manner. I want to leave us with one hadith, which is in Sahih Bukhari. It's authentic hadith on the thought of Anas bin Malik, who said that, and listen very closely, while he was walking with the Messenger of Allah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, an Arabi, a Bedouin man, grabbed the Messenger of Allah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He was wearing an Arabian cloak on his shoulder. The Arabi grabbed the Messenger of Allah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's cloak hard, and he said, give me from what Allah gave you. The Messenger of Allah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's, Anas ibn Malik said, I looked at his neck, and his neck was bruised and it was scratched from the harsh tug of that Bedouin, Arabi. He said, give me from what Allah has given it to you. It is not your inheritance from your father. Give me from what Allah gave you. The Messenger of Allah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he looked at the Arabi and he smiled. And he said, give him the sadaqu. Give him what Allah Azza wa Jal has given us. May Allah Azza wa Jal help all of us, my dear Salam Iman, to understand this deeply inside our hearts, that if we stray away from the teachings of the Messenger of Allah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and the correct methodology of correcting the mistakes of others, then only thing that we're going to end up doing is offending people. We'll offend people mistakenly, maybe without understanding the repercussions of our actions. When we stray away from the Sunnah of the Messenger of Allah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, we need to be Rabbaniyun. We need to be sincere well-wishers for each other. Good people who try and raise people up on the smaller aspects of knowledge before we try and present to them the larger and more complicated aspects of the deen. And we have to advise each other without creating a fuss, and with sincerity and ikhlas wa niyyah. And always keep in mind that the Messenger of Allah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, "Allah Rafiq hibbur rifq wa amur kullaha." That Allah Azza wa Jal is gentle and He loves gentleness and ease in all affairs of our life. May Allah Azza wa Jal bless us and guide us and give us that love of following the Sunnah of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam to try and correct ourselves and the mistakes of others. Ameen, ameen, ameen. Inna Allah wa malaikatu yusalluna ala nabi. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu sallu alayhi wa sallam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad. كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وقم الصلاة.